Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And today we're going to take you to the bottom of a lake where Norwegian researchers piloting a deep sea rover stumbled upon a medieval shipwreck.
Yeah. And I will just say, never has grenade fishing done more for society because the reason this rover was in this lake, which I believe is called what Lake
Mjosa.
Mjøsa,
Lake
is
Mjosa.
be, is because for 30 years, people were taking excess Allied munitions and throwing them into the waters of this lake, and now the rover is here to disarm them. So it was never has grenade fishing done more for the human race because if we weren't throwing our excess bombs into this river instead of or this lake instead of disarming them, we would never have found this like 700-year-old ship.
It's very comforting to know that Americans aren't the only folks that decide to throw live munitions into water.
I mean, if you think about it, I understand it. Like you throw it in there because that's probably the safest place to dispose of them if in case they explode. I mean, unless you're a fish, but also this is great. This is great. I love that
This,
this
this is some
accidental fire,
this is some Wednesday and Pugsley shit right here.
But
right?
the thing with the shipwreck is it could be dated. It's dated between 1300 and 1850. So, it's a fair bit old.
Yeah, it
And
is
I'll go on.
there's quite the time range on this thing here because I don't believe we've really gotten a chance to get a good up close look at it as archaeologists. We just have the underwater images from the probe, and that can make things a little bit hard to identify. We do know really that it is wooden. It's 33 feet long, and it's been buried 1,350 feet below the surface of the ocean of the lake for several hundred years.
And they
You
know
know
that
what?
it's not a Viking ship and that its frame is very distinctive and evokes traditional Norse clinker built method, which has planks overlapping to tighten the hole.
Nice. It is yep. It's
I'll say
nice.
it's a bit late. Like even 1300 is a bit late because you traditionally even in Norway, by the time of 1100 is usually the traditional 1100s in general. I believe is the traditional date of time period, at least when Christianity is introduced to at least Norway.
Yeah, well, that I don't know how much that has to do really with a lot of the
There can't be a Viking funeral.
shipbuilding techniques, but yeah. Well, to be fair, the Vikings kind of die out in or go into full decline in 1066 after the death of Harold Hardrada.
True.
So they had been in decline for several hundred years at the point here.
Or at least the concept of what we think of Vikings.
Yeah,
So
what we
Oh,
understand
okay.
to be Vikings as Vikingers, Nordic raiders. But back to the ship.
Semantics, yeah.
But
So
back to the ship. What's very nice about this ship is that because it's in a freshwater lake, the only parts of the ship that have really decayed are the nails holding it together.
the iron,
So the
yeah.
ship itself is perfectly preserved until we touch it.
And the interesting thing is, they're actually going to do an in person assessment because as of right now, it's only been identified by sonar.
Yeah.
And that they're actually going to look at what could be potentially on board because they don't know what's on there. They don't know how deep it's actually submerged in the sediment. And they were
Yeah.
talking about how they unfortunately had to abandon a remote operated vehicle operation to inspect the ship on the last day due to wind and waves. But they have a maritime archaeologist on staff whose name I apologize, but I'm not going to try and pronounce. But they're
Yeah.
based out of the Norwegian University of Science and Technology.
Yeah. Uh,
but
yeah.
it looks like
One
they've
of the
already the divers have already logged 20 shipwrecks across this lake already. So
and yeah, based on what the funny thing is, all the wind and waves that forced them to call back the probe. Uh, it seems based on where it sunk and how well it is just sitting on the bottom, like it is. They seem to think that the ship itself was sunk by a squall, which is just a sudden gust of wind hitting the sails and flipping you.
the irony.
Yes, it's like the same reason we couldn't touch it is the same reason it's stuck down there.
But it's also kind of interesting too because the lake itself, which is 140 square miles, served as a very prominent Viking trade route from 700 to 1000 CE and connected farmland with communities in Oslo beyond. So the fact that they've logged 20 shipwrecks on a trade route and the fact that they think there could potentially be cargo on this ship could lead to a lot of interesting discoveries and information coming out of this.
Ooh, what do you guys think might be on it?
Yeah, cargo is everything with shipwrecks. It tells you the most.
Cursed gold, cursed gold.
I'm really hoping for hopefully preserved traces of mead. Real 1300s mead. That would be great.
Here's my personal favorite thing though is just so they found about 20 shipwrecks in this lake.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. So it's a 140 square mile lake. They've mapped 15 square miles. And they've hit 20 shipwrecks. They're averaging more than one per mile.
This is a project I would love to be part of.
This place is turning quickly into a Bermuda Triangle. It's just a graveyard.
Well, I mean, like, think about it. If this was probably a pre-Viking trade route already, more than likely.
Oh, 100%.
If there were settlements on them. So, from that time period to the latest date for that, even just that one ship was 1850. The amount of ships that could have wrecked at any given point in time during that large span of time is huge. There could easily be like just at least 200 ships just in there from different time periods. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see because they obviously plan on doing further exploration. They've got a maritime archaeologist on staff. So I'm very curious to see what information comes out of this. This very much is brand new information and like newsworthy. So this is before any of the like really in-depth research or studies go on. So it might be 3, 4, maybe 5 years before any of this information comes out. And that could only be a handful of shipwrecks that they study at that time.
Yeah, and even then, a lot of it's going to be locked up in scholarly circles for the most part. And I hate to say this, but I think Norway, of all places, is going to need another ship museum by the time they're done with this lake.
Well, isn't it Sweden that has that really fancy ship that sank on its maiden voyage?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sweden has the ship that sank on its maiden voyage, but Oslo has 3 ship museums in it.
Of course,
we're gonna need a 4th one
because there's the Viking ship museum. There's the maritime. There's just so many. There's so many museums of ships in Scandinavia, and they're gonna need a new one.
But I think that's a good point for us to wrap up. So if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like down below. If there's a topic you would like to see us cover, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time we release a new video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.